Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There's brand new music from our friend Ron-Keel from his new album called South by South Dakota. That is Train, the old Blackfoot classic. I love hearing that. And we want to welcome back a friend of Rock and Metal Revival to the show, Mr. Ron-Keel. How you doing today, Ron?
Hello, Greg. I am great. Thanks for having me back on the show. It's great to be back on Rock and Metal Revival and talk to rock with you and your listeners.
You know, Ron, it has been a while since you've been on the show, but it isn't like you haven't been busy. I mean, I was looking through your bio and I thought, when does Ron-Keel sleep? I mean, you do a radio show, you've got your band, you're an author, you've got all that, and now you're putting out new music. Ron, tell us all about, since the last time, it's been a while, what you been up to?
All the stuff you just mentioned, Greg, and I am a workaholic, but I love my job. I love what I do. I love all of the aspects of this business, whether it's writing songs, performing, playing guitar, hosting the radio show, writing books, promoting my business and my activities on interviews like this one. It's all part of the same game, and I do love it. I do enjoy it. I stay extremely busy. I sleep from... I usually go to bed pretty early when I'm not gigging. I'll sleep from, say, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. I'll take a 6-hour nap, and I'll get back up and spend the first few hours of the day being creative and just enjoying the ride, man. It's been an incredible experience the last 30-odd years. And, I just want to keep it going, man. Keep doing what I love to do and entertaining people, playing music, and can't wait to get back out there on the road as well, of course.
Oh, I know. And my first, taste of your music was, I remember, I'm going to tell you this, Ron, and I mean this sincerely, and I'm not just telling you because I got you in the phone right now, but the other day I'm driving down the road and I've got The Right to Rock blasted out of my pickup truck. I'm 53 years old, and that song still resonates with me. And now I hear your new music, and this is right up my alley. I mean, your music has spanned a generation and so many fans. I mean, that's got to be a great feeling that know that people that were with you back in the day are still with you today.
It is a great feeling, and I do appreciate that. I keep it in perspective because, first of all, if you've sold 3 million albums, that means billions of people don't like you or don't want what you do. So I get that. I'm cool with that. And the fact that you've got to constantly keep winning over new fans, as well as pleasing the fans that got me here. The fans like you that are listening to The Right to Rock. And which version were you listening to, the original or the new version from Fight Like a Band last year?
I actually, honestly, Ron, was listening to the original, the debut album from Keel.
Most people do. I get it. I hate to interrupt you, sorry. Most people do. They gravitate to that original version, which is all good. That's part of our youth. That's part of the soundtrack of our lives, and I get it. I appreciate it, respect it. But last year I had the opportunity to release a brand new version of The Right to Rock on the Fight Like a Band album with Ron-Keel Band, and it's way better. I mean, the vocal anyway. I mean, I love the guys in the original band. They're still my brothers and my family, and the guys in the Ron-Keel Band are the same, my brothers and my family. But the vocal on that new version, which came out last year, night and day, because the guy who's singing it has obviously had a lot of practice since that first session. So I encourage the fans of the old school stuff who think that I may have changed or I'm not doing what I used to do, or I'm still doing all that stuff. I'm just doing something else in addition to all that stuff. And still in the show, you're going to hear the Keel classics, the Black Sabbath stuff, the Steeler music, and the brand new music from the Ron-Keel Band.
Well, I have heard the new version with the Ron-Keel Band. I like that version too. It was just, the deal was I had the old CD in the truck. I'm just being old school, my man.
I'm just glad you're enjoying it, and that song is timeless. The meaning, the message, and the attitude will live forever.
Amen to that. And I'll tell you what, now you've really hit one right deep down in my heart of my music love and soul with this new album, South by South Dakota. And I was tracking through it last night and listened to it. Some of my favorite tunes, from Blackfoot and 38 Special, and that Red, White, and Blue tune, that Skinner tune you're doing. Oh, man, that song, I felt really got lost in the cracks, and you've done a great job of redoing that song.
Well, I've been doing Red, White, and Blue. It's the first single in video from South by South Dakota, which is coming out next week. We'll do that video premiere, but it's one of those songs that immediately grabbed me the first time I heard it from Vicious Rumors back in, 2003?
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved it since. I've done it in my solo acoustic gig from time to time, and then I worked it up with the band, and we've made it part of our show the last 5 years, but now that we've re-recorded it and included it on South by South Dakota, and we're releasing it as the first video and single from the record, I went back and did my homework, and I had no idea, Greg, that that song was a top 30 hit for Skynyrd back in 2003. It did, as you say, slip through the cracks, and a lot of people have not heard it. I hope that when Lynyrd Skynyrd hears it, at least when they hear our version, I hope they'll approve and understand that I'm just trying to salute one of my favorite bands of all time and hopefully do the song justice. I think we did. I'm extremely happy with the recorded results of that song and what it means to not just America, but the entire planet at a time like this when we're all isolated. We stand united. And that's the message behind Red, White, and Blue. It's not about the flag, although it is about American pride. There are other countries and other colors that we're all sharing this experience with right here and now. And that song hopefully will help to unite us in a musical way and spread that message around the world.
Well, with what we're going through, with what the whole world is going through right now, I mean, we never, I know in all my life, imagined that we'd ever go through something like this. And it's really a time for us to, I know I personally have been digging into some older music and some newer music that I had, just when I was in that busy lifestyle, not given a chance to listen to. And I'm really digging a lot of stuff. And I think music is the one thing that's pulling a lot of people together. Don't you, Ron?
I absolutely agree, and I'm doing the same thing around my house as it's springtime, here in South Dakota, and I'm cutting the grass, or I'm opening up the garage and working on my motorcycle, or, washing my truck, or working around the house. I've got music playing because usually when I'm home, I'm working. When I'm just doing the day-to-day life, man, grilling steaks out on the porch, or working in the garage, or you've got to have a soundtrack. You've got to have something to play. And what you play becomes the soundtrack of the times. And I think that South by South Dakota, this new Ron-Keel Band album, is a perfect soundtrack for what everybody's going through right now. It's brand new music, but it's re-recorded versions of some of the greatest songs of all time. One of the cool things about promoting the album in interviews like this one is that I can brag about how great the songs are. If I had written them, I'd have to be humble and say, well, I did the best I could, and hopefully people will enjoy it and whatever. No, dude, I can tell you right now, these songs are fantastic. These are some of the best classic rock songs ever written, and we're honored to have the opportunity to re-record them, keelize them, and share them with the world, especially right now in 2020.
When I was listening through it last night, and I'm just going, man, I love this song. I haven't heard it forever. And man, I love how you're right. You don't do it verbatim. You do Ron-Keelize it. Do you know what? And that's what I really appreciated about. And the one song that I really wanted to talk to you about was that Creedence medley. With all the songs Creedence got, how did you pick out the songs that you put in there?
I have no idea, man. I'm really just making it up as I go along. But that, at the end of the record, the last thing that you hear is that Creedence medley. I'm glad you brought it up because I don't get to talk about it often enough. First of all, Creedence wasn't known as a, quote, Southern rock, unquote, band. They were a classic rock legend, but not really Southern rock. But to me, Creedence was as Southern as it got. Swamp music, dude. Swamp music.
Exactly.
And that recording that's on the record, it's a live medley, and this kind of gives away what we do during our show, because we do a whole show of medleys like that where we'll mash up 3 or 4 greatest hits from my favorite bands, and we'll include the Ron-Keel original songs, the the Keel, the Steeler, the Black Sabbath, all that stuff. But during the course of the show, we'll pay tribute to some of these bands. We've been doing it live on stage for years. That recording that you hear on South by South Dakota of us doing Born on the Bayou, into Bad Moon Rising, into Fortunate Son, that was recorded at our very first gig ever. The first time me and these guys were ever on stage together. That night, it was August 27th, 2015. And to have that moment in time, our first gig ever, immortalized, recorded, and released to share with the fans, what a great memory and a great track. As that's what we do live, because a lot of times we'll be playing for 20, 30,000 people at these big bike events or a state fair or a truck event or these big arena type events where, honestly, 90% of those people don't know who Ron-Keel is. They didn't grow up on it like you did. They don't know who I am or what I've done or what I've been through. They just want to be entertained. So in order to give them what they paid for and also give them what we want to do, we mix in these medleys. So it's not like cover songs. In fact, some of these songs we did for the first time on this new South by South Dakota album, because usually we're doing these edited medleys where you'll do a verse and a chorus of Give Me Three Steps, and then you'll do a little bit of Sweet Home Alabama, then you'll do a little bit of Freebird, and then you get a 12-minute Skinner medley right in the middle of our show. And that Creedence medley that you're hearing on South by South Dakota is a perfect example of that, and it fits right in with all of these Southern rock hits and classics that are all over this new album.
Now, Ron, when does the album actually become available for purchase?
It's available now at Ron-Keel.com. Ronkeelshop.com is the store. Members at Patreon.com/Ron-Keel can get a discount on a number of different CDs or CD bundles with the shot glass and the T-shirt, and the guitar picks, and the stickers, and all that cool stuff can be found at Ron-Keel.com. The digital release on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, all that is May 15th.
Okay.
So we're just literally, I mean, it's time to spring this thing upon the world and share it with everybody.
It is unbelievable, and I know I've enjoyed your past three. Well, it would be with this one would be like Metal Cowboy. I loved that. I love the Fight Like a Band that you released, and I was just was talking to my co-host Jerry the other day about how much I enjoyed your autobiography, Life on the Even Keel, Life on the Streets of Rock and Roll. Was that a hard was that a hard thing to do, Ron? To expose yourself like that and your life? I mean, because it was a great read.
It was. Thank you so much, and that's a great question. It was difficult. And now, as I read the audiobook back into the microphone, because I hadn't read the book since I published it in 2014, and now we're releasing the audiobook version finally, so I've got to read that stuff. Some of it is extremely rewarding and triumphant and brings tears to my eyes, and some of it, it's difficult. I'm not proud of some of the stuff that I did. I did have to come clean, and, as you know, since you've read the book, nobody gets thrown under the bus but me. I don't talk trash about my ex-wives, my ex-bandmates, Yngwie Malmsteen or Dee Dee or any of these people in my life. I take the high road. That's the mother of my kid, and she's off limits. But I took credit or blame for everything that I've done, whether it was the drugs or the adultery or whatever that I'm not proud of. I had to admit it in order to be truthful. I'm not that same guy now. I've grown up, I've evolved, whatever. But, yeah, it was difficult. At the time, the toughest thing was how to address that 17-year marriage. The mother of my kids, which was extremely dramatic, traumatic, painful, and there's still some pain. There's still some anger. I mean, 20 years later, after the divorce, there's still some issues, as you could probably tell, as I start to bleed out in front of you guys. But that was tough. How do I handle this? How do I address this 17-year marriage without hurting my kids?
Exactly.
So I just steered away from it, man. She's off limits. She's she's the mother of my kids, and I'm not going to go into all the crap that we went through, or it's private. So that's how I addressed it in the